Picture a Viking. You probably see a towering figure, wild beard, and of course a helmet with horns. That image is everywhere. Comics, movies, sports teams. It's the Viking we all know. But here's the twist. It's pure fiction. Not a single Viking ever wore a horned helmet into battle. The iconic horned helmet? A theatrical invention, not a historical artifact. The real Vikings were far more complex and far more interesting than this myth. So what did they actually wear? What were they really like? Let's peel back the fantasy and meet the true Norsemen, not the costumed legends. This isn't about ruining the fun, it's about discovering a richer, more human story. Time to send our horned warrior back to the costume department and see what history has to show us. To find the real Viking, we turn to archaeology, not art. Excavations across Scandinavia reveal a practical, resourceful people, farmers, traders, explorers and warriors. Artifacts show they valued grooming, craftsmanship and vibrant clothing, far from the dirty barbarians of legend. Their weapons were practical spears for most, swords for the elite, round wooden shields for defense, helmets, rare and precious, likely reserved for chieftains or professional fighters. Most Vikings fought with what they could afford. No matching iron armor, no theatrical horns. The average raider might have only a leather or textile cap for protection. Viking war parties were a mix of gear and styles, not uniformed armies. The real Viking was a survivor, not a stage villain. For years, no one knew what a real Viking helmet looked like, until 1943, when a Norwegian farmer unearthed the German Boo helmet. This is the only complete Viking helmet ever found. Its design? A rounded iron cap, reinforced bands, and a spectacle-like guard for the eyes and nose. No horns, no wings, just brutal efficiency. The spectacle mask protected the face and intimidated foes, but it was all about function. The helmet's design links Vikings to a broader Northern European warrior tradition. It's a helmet for a serious fighter, not a fantasy character. The German Boo find shattered the horned myth and revealed the true face of the Viking warrior. Vikings wore what worked, not what looked dramatic. One artifact rewrote a century of legend. Horned helmets did exist, but 1,000 years before the Vikings, in the Nordic Bronze Age. The Vexo helmets from Denmark with their sweeping bronze horns were ceremonial, not for battle. These ornate helmets were worn by priests or chieftains during rituals, not warriors in combat. The horns symbolized spiritual power, not military might. By the Viking Age, these helmets were ancient relics, not contemporary gear. Vikings may have found such artifacts, but saw them as curiosities, not equipment. The tradition of horned helmets had vanished centuries before the first longship sailed. The real Viking helmet was all business, no horns attached. So where did the horned Viking myth come from? Enter Richard Wagner's 1876 opera, The Ring of the Nibelung. Costume designer Carl Emil Doppler gave Viking characters horned helmets for dramatic effect, not historical accuracy. The opera's spectacle and music made the image unforgettable. Audiences loved it, and the horned helmet became a symbol of wild, mythic power. As the opera toured Europe and America, the image spread. The horned Viking was born on stage, not in history. Wagner and Doppler weren't trying to fool anyone, they were creating fantasy. But their vision was so compelling, it escaped the theatre and became fact. The horned Viking is a product of art, not archaeology. After Wagner, artists and illustrators embraced the horned helmet. Paintings, children's books and adventure novels made it a visual shorthand for Viking. Generations grew up with this image, and it became part of the historical narrative. Hollywood, cartoons and sports teams like the Minnesota Vikings cemented the myth. The horned helmet became a global icon, more famous than any real artifact. Pop culture loved the drama and simplicity of the image. The real German Boo helmet sits quietly in a museum, while its horned cousin is everywhere. The myth spread because it was fun, memorable, and marketable. No conspiracy, just the power of a great visual story. Sometimes fiction is more powerful than fact. We know the horned helmet is a myth, yet we still love it. Why? Because it's a great story, simple, bold, and larger than life. The horned Viking symbolizes wildness, rebellion, and a connection to a primal past. Myths are emotionally satisfying, even if they aren't true. The horned helmet is now a symbol of identity, fun, and community at games, festivals, and beyond. Insisting on strict accuracy misses the point. The image has outgrown its origins. The story of the horned helmet shows how we shape history to fit our needs. The real Vikings were fascinating, but the myth tells us about ourselves, our love of legend and spectacle. We cherish the horned Viking not for his truth, but for his story. Sometimes the best tales are the ones we invent together.